is DJ Miss Eclectic, and you're tuned in to the RHEMA Gospel Express. Choo choo!
All aboard the RHEMA Gospel Express. All aboard the RHEMA Gospel Express. Keep your faith in Jesus. All aboard Jesus. He's RHEMA Gospel Express. RHEMA Gospel Express. RHEMA Gospel Express.
Oh, yeah, San Antonio global listeners, I love the old church songs, but right now we're going toward East Texas. We have Dr. Shirley J. McKllar, city councilwoman. Oh, she has so much, and I can't tell it like she can tell it, but I like to say good morning, Miss McKllar.
Good morning, sir. Good morning from East Texas, the rose capital of the world. It's great to be on your show. San Antonio, one of my favorite cities. Based in there 3 different occasions. Montgomery Medical Center. Yes, that's the place. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. You know, I was looking at your bio, and I'm like, you are somebody.
Wow, you're kind. Nothing but the good Lord.
Amen. You know,
gives us our strength.
You know, you are. I really just don't know where to start at with you, but because you carry so much weight, and you. My understanding is you've been to the White House. You have stood among the best of the best, and you are state representative. Talk to us this morning.
God is good. Well, let me just share with you that first of all, thank you once again for the opportunity to come live with you there in San Antonio. Yes, God has been amazing for me. My parents used to tell us that as long as the gates of their spending available for you, take those opportunities, open the doors, and walk right in. And so I've had the distinct pleasure of having lots of doors presented in front of me, and was able to just walk right in. I'm retired United States Army officer, retired out of San Antonio, Texas. As a matter of fact, I'm an Iraqi, Afghanistan war veteran, served 18 months overseas during the war in Iraq, had the distinct opportunity to actually broadcast from what was going on the battlefield there. That was an opportunity that was opened up to me there as well. But I first started radio back in 1972, and it was not a plan of mine. Actually, I had moved back to Texas, and so I was listening to our black-owned station here in Tyler, Texas, where my uncle was the first disc jockey to serve. And so I noticed that the disc jockey was not only being the DJ, but was also doing the commercials. And so it was like the same voice was doing everything. So I called to the station, and I said, if I could make a suggestion, I said, if you guys would have a different person, a different voice, even a voice of a female, because it was all men that were working there at that station at that time. If you had a female that was actually doing your commercials that had a really great voice, I think that people would pay closer attention to the commercials, and the businesses probably would see more growth economically. And so after my discussion with the general manager, he turns around and says, when can you start? And so I chuckled and said, well, I wasn't really talking, because I'm medical, I wasn't really talking about myself, because I worked in the medical profession. So he said, no, I'm very serious. And so that was the alpha, the beginning of my time in radio. And so I did radio and did some television. Myself and 4 other individuals here in Tyler, Texas, started an independent television network because we wanted to see African Americans more involved in the media. And since we were not seeing much on our local television stations, and that's why we sat down, put our little coins together, and decided to start a network. And the Southern Link industry, who does our internet services and all that, actually put the fiber optic lines through into the building where we were, which was actually the building that we were in was the very first television station that was opened here in Tyler, Texas, KLTV, and I actually was the very first black person to actually be on that television network. And what it was I had a birthday, which happens, my birthday is tomorrow, as a matter of fact.
Happy birthday to you.
You're so funny. Yes, it's hard to believe those days are rolling around really fast, those years. But at any rate, they had this show called Happy Birthday Captain Kangaroo. And so my first cousin and I were the first blacks to be on there to celebrate my birthday. I was 5 years of age. So I go deep in media, actually went on to school and got my degree in communications when I decided to go back for continuous education as I was getting my master's degree in nursing at that time in the 80s. Then I picked up communications as well. And then when I decided to run for United States Congress, and my parents I always remember what my parents taught us when we were growing up, and that is be well educated in whatever it is that you do. And when I decided to run for United States Congress in the 1st District of Texas, I was told that you have enough education, you don't have to really do that. And but I said no. I still remember my teaching. It's been a long time since I've studied government and studied civics and all of those things that will really prepare you for the role of public service. And so I went back and got my bachelor's degree in political science and continued on working toward my master's in political science as well, and got halfway through that. And one of my professors said, "You got this. Go out there and win us an election." So I ran for city government, and everything else is history. And here I am in city government here in Tyler, Texas.
All right.
So that's a little bit, that's a snafu of kind of the things I've done.
Woo! Well, share with us, because now you may have the insight, but the situation that we in now,
Yes, sir.
what does it look like for us if we don't get it together?
Yes. Well, that's an excellent question. And I can tell you that I'm really troubled by what I see and what is going on in our country. As I mentioned, I am a medical person, so I'm always, my eyes are always wide open to issues, and this COVID-19 has me drastically troubled by what we have seen and what we are. 7 million people here in America, over 7 million, who've been affected, and so we know that most recently it's hit the White House. And I just firmly believe, as I've spent a lot of my time in infectious disease in my career, I served on the task force, the COVID-19 task force here in the city, and we could have stopped a lot of this because we knew about this way when. And we've had other COVIDs. As you know, we've had SARS, MERS. We have all these things that have hit our communities, that hit our hospitals. We've had, 1918, we know what we had, the only epidemic that this country has ever had. But we've had, only pandemic. But we've had some epidemics. We had Ebola, but we got a handle on these before it really affected the whole entire nation, and not just the nation, but the world. But we have to have, science is a fact, and we have to understand that, and we have to have people who are embracing those people who actually know how science works. We studied this, and we know how it works. So if we would just comply with the CDC and do the things, the guidelines that have been set before us, and not try to change up things for the greater good, or for the good, I should say, of an individual person, or for the good of politically. Politics is one thing, and I say to people all the time, I'm really, even though I'm in government, I'm not really a politician. I am an American servant. I serve this country. And so that's the first and foremost ideas that we have to have, is that we have to be of service to everyone. So when we serve everyone, we're serving ourselves as well. So I'm really troubled that the White House is not paying attention to this. And I hear people saying all the time, oh, Dr. McKllar, it's just a hoax. We're not going to wear a mask. You're taking away my civil liberties. But they didn't have a problem with wearing a seatbelt, or they didn't have a problem with wearing a helmet when they were told to wear these things. So this is just another form of us protecting the citizens of this country. I'm really troubled about what I see every single morning that I wake up, Elder.
Now, I don't know if you know, but I've got to ask, because many people are asking. We hear and people are talking. Is there a cure for this pandemic?
If you're talking about medicine-wise, medically, we don't have a cure for COVID-19, but we have some guidelines. This is a brand new disease, because just think about it like this. We take a flu shot every year. I take my flu shot at least. Some people do, some people don't. But the strand of flu is different every single time. So therefore, that's why you have to work on a specific vaccine to work on specific antibodies. And so therefore, we don't have a cure for COVID-19. They're working on those. We don't have a vaccine right now, but they're working at that. And what we have to understand is when we're working on vaccines, there's a trial period time where you have to have a group of citizens to take that. You may have a double-blind study. Some people taking it, some people don't take it. And then so that takes time, a couple of years or so. So it's not something that happens instantly. But we do have guidelines that we can follow. And mask is one of those guidelines that we have to comply with. Every single morning, I take a tablespoon of zinc. I have a concoction that I worked with my physician to put together. It consists of vitamin C, some D's, and I don't take any medications, but I take my vitamins. And so I'm real meticulous on taking care of my physical body. So if we wash our hands, use all the things, and I already did this anyways, because as I said, I'm a medical person. So these are things that I always practice. Universal precaution is what I call it. And so if we are universally precautious, if we're washing our things that we bring into our home, I have a large basket that I place my groceries in, and if there's anything that I can leave out in that basket for 24 hours, I do. But if there are things like, and I'm not a real meat eater, but any fish or anything that I bring in, I'll leave it out for a few minutes, but then I wash down every single thing, my counters, my walls, my door handles, my everything. I don't wear clothes that I wore from the outside in. They go right straight into my wash. As soon as I come, I shower, and then I'm ready to enter into my home. So there are things, yes, that we can do to help to mitigate this thing called COVID-19. If we all work together, Elder, and we spend the next 6 to 8 weeks all masked up and doing all the things, we could help to mitigate and cut down some of these new cases that arise every single day. And we know Texas is at the top of the chain for new cases every single day.
We have a few minutes. I know you're on your way to church.
Yes, sir.
But an important moment is coming up.
Yes, sir.
We've heard about it on the news. We've heard about it on the radio. Share with the people the importance of voting.
Excellent question. One of my favorites. Let me tell you, my ancestors, your ancestors, Elder, all of our ancestors that look like me and you died that we may have this opportunity to vote. And not just our ancestors, some of the Caucasians and other ethnic groups help to work to make sure that we're able to vote. I think about the 19th Amendment to the Constitution, which is a little over 100 years of age, where women have the opportunity to vote. But not only women, we need men. We need men. We need black people. I'm just talking to us right now, right? Because I think that it is important for men and women, black men, black women, to work together because we're fighting and struggling for the greater good of us. Yeah, we have the Constitution that was written. It was written during slavery time, and you have people that say that Constitution was not written for me anyways. It was. So then let's fast forward and say, okay, today we're not having that form of slavery, even though I think that some form of slavery still exists in our country, and sometimes we'll come back and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But it is incumbent upon us. This election is probably, I'm just going to say that it is the most important election we have ever seen in the history of this country. Democracy is on the ballot. Health care is on the ballot. Let me just say that climate control, climate change is on the ballot, which means our economy is on the ballot. We have to really sit back, study, and understand what this climate change and climate control is really all about, because that hits our pocketbook too. Everything that we deal with at the kitchen table is on the ballot. So it is incumbent upon us. Money. The Lilly Ledbetter Act, where the person that stands next to me, and like I said, I have had a great opportunity in the civilian world as well as the military world, academically and professionally, economically. God has been great. I am not complaining. I'm just saying that if I'm the only one that's succeeding, if you're the only one that's succeeding, then we have not succeeded until all of us, the black people, the brown people, and everybody succeeds, then none of us have. So we all have to work at that ballot, and I'm encouraging the young people. And don't wait until November the 3rd. October the 13th, Elder, we're going to be, our boots on the ground every day. We're registering the college students. We have 3 HBCUs here in East Texas: Wiley College, Texas College here in Tyler, Jarvis Christian College. We are going to be out there. We have already been out there registering those young folks, because here's what I say to them. We have some students right here in Tyler from San Antonio that's going to school, is going to college here, and I said to them, you guys are not going back to San Antonio to vote. I know you're not. So let me register you. So we registered 250 college students on National Voter Registration Day. And so I encourage tomorrow, October the 5th, my birthday, the last, do that for me. My birthday gift will be register to vote, and not just register, Elder, but go to the polls to vote, and go October the 13th. Because guess what? When you tell me that your vote doesn't count, why do you think that so much money is invested in stopping people from voting? It's called voter suppression. Your vote counts, and remember that. John Lewis says, go get into some good trouble. Good trouble is voting, Elder. Thank you.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Share with us, if you will, how we can support you in your cause and your social sites.
You're so kind. Well, it's been an honor to be nominated to be inducted into the National Radio Hall of Fame. I look forward to that in 2022, I believe it is. And then I look forward to the actual, for the ones who are inducted for 2021, that will be during Black Heritage Month in February, where we'll be able to honor them virtually, I believe, because, let's face it, everything is virtually now. So let me just tell those that are out there listening, those that may be running for a public office out there, because we get a lot of them on my radio shows as well. And I tell them, Elder, that if you want to win a statewide seat in Texas, you better come to East Texas, because so goes East Texas, so goes Texas. You can't win without, we got 1 million voters in the 1st District, Senate District 1, where I live, where I ran. That's what we have. And if you want to buff up, then you better come to East Texas. And let me just finally say, Elder, is that I want some more of my black people running. But remember Judge Stacey, I almost said Abrams, Judge Stacey Williams, who's running for the Supreme Court, and then we have Judge Elizabeth Frizzell, a black female who's running for the Court of Criminal Appeals, and there are people all across Texas. Take a look at the African Americans, because I serve as the president of the East Texas Coalition of Black Democrats. How you can help? Join the coalition. $30 per year. Support black candidates. Run yourself. Don't complain, run. That's my final say, Elder. Run for public office because we need more balance and we need more women in office. This state and this America consists of 51% women, but we have about 19% of women that's holding office in this country. I like balance, and we don't have it right now.
Do you have any shout-outs?
Yes, I will shout out to you. Thank you for shout out to my family who have been very supportive of me for everything that I've done. Shout out to the veterans. I work with the homeless veterans here in Tyler, Texas. I work with the homeless veterans there in Dallas, Texas, because I served on as vice president of the Mental Health Advocacy Council at the VA hospital there in Dallas. Please, please, please take care of our veterans. They deserve it. We promised them in the Constitution that we would take care of our veterans. So that's my shout out to all of those who have served this country and served it with valor.
San Antonio global listeners, you've heard it. You heard it right here on KROVFM.com. Dr. J. McKllar. Yes, out of Tyler, Texas. And
thank you, sir.
Basically, what she is saying is what my brother John Taylor sings about. Show me who you're working for.
Oh, yeah. Are you working for Jesus or you working for the devil? Here we go, here we go, here we go. Put your hands together for Jesus out here.